Welcome guys in another video. I hope you all awesome. Today we will talk about the story of Cherry Blossom the Broken Pot, a detailed 10,000 word style story. Chapter 1. The Potter's Garden. On the edge of a peaceful valley stood a small mud house where an old potter named Haroon lived. His home was surrounded by a garden so vibrant that travelers often stopped just to admire it. Flowers of every color danced in the breeze: marigolds, lilies, jasmine, sunflowers, and rows of bright wildflowers that glowed like tiny lanterns in sunlight. Haroon was known far and wide for crafting the finest clay pots. Some were tall, others were round, some were painted, and others left plain. But each one carried Haroon's love, patiently shaped with his wrinkled hands and baked in the warm sun. Among his creations were 2 water pots, one perfectly shaped, smooth as polished stone, and one with a long crack running down its side. They hung on opposite ends of a bamboo pole, which Haroon carried to the river every morning. The perfect pot was proud of its flawless shape, while the cracked pot lived in constant worry. "I'm broken," it whispered to itself many nights. "I can't hold water like the other. I am a burden." But Haroon never stopped using it, and that puzzled the poor cracked pot more than anything. Chapter 2. The Journey to the River. Each dawn, Haroon would place the bamboo pole on his shoulders and walk toward the river. Birds would flutter overhead. The sky glowed orange. Dewdrops shimmered on grass. The perfect pot would hold its water proudly, while the cracked pot felt the water dripping from its side, drop by drop leaving a thin trail behind. By the time they reached Haroon's home, the cracked pot was only half full. Every day was the same. Every day the cracked pot felt ashamed. One morning, the cracked pot finally gathered courage. "Master," it said softly, trembling, "why do you keep me? I lose half the water you fill me with. I am flawed. I'm not useful like the other pot." Haroon stopped walking. He looked at the cracked pot with kindness, the kind of kindness that melts fear. "Come," he whispered. "Walk with me tomorrow. I want to show you something." Chapter 3. The Path of Flowers. The next morning, after filling both pots, Haroon began the walk home. The cracked pot watched its usual drip 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 fall onto the earth. But this time, instead of drowning in shame, it looked carefully along the path. And for the first time, it noticed something strange. Flowers. Dozens of them, blooming only on the side where it dripped. Bright yellow daisies leaned into the morning sun. Purple violets peeked from under leaves. A strip of green seemed painted along the entire path, growing thicker with every step. Haroon smiled and finally spoke. "These flowers grow only on your side of the path," he said gently. "I planted seeds there because I knew you would water them every day." The cracked pot trembled. "I watered them?" "Yes," Haroon replied. "You thought your flaw made you useless. But without your crack, my garden would not exist. Without your leak, this path would be dry and empty." The cracked pot had no words. For the first time, instead of feeling broken, it felt special. Chapter 4. The Perfect Pot Secret. The perfect pot had listened to everything. That night, as the moon bathed the garden in silver light, the perfect pot spoke. "You know," it said softly, "I always thought you were unlucky. You leaked water while I stayed full. But now I see that maybe you gave more than I ever did." The cracked pot was surprised. "But you are perfect," it said. "Everyone praises you." The perfect pot hesitated. "Being perfect is not easy," it whispered. "I always fear making mistakes. I fear falling. I fear cracks. Maybe I look strong, but inside, I am always worried." The cracked pot felt a warmth spread through its clay. "Maybe," it said gently, "we both have our strengths." For the first time, the 2 pots did not compare themselves. They simply understood each other. Chapter 5. The Storm. One afternoon, dark clouds rolled over the valley. Lightning split the sky. A fierce storm unleashed torrents of rain and harsh winds. Haroon rushed outside, trying to protect his garden, but the wind was too strong. The pots on the bamboo pole swayed dangerously. Suddenly, crash! A heavy branch fell, shattering the perfect pot into pieces. The cracked pot, lighter and already weakened by its crack, rolled aside and survived. When the storm passed, Haroon came outside. His heart sank at the sight of the broken perfect pot. He knelt, gently touching its fragments. The cracked pot whispered, "Master, I am sorry." Harun shook his head. "No, my friend. You survived because you were flexible. Your flaw made you stronger today." The cracked pot looked at the garden. The flowers along its path stood tall, their colors glowing even brighter after the rain. "I will miss the perfect pot," it said softly. "As will I," Harun replied. "But it taught us too. Strength is not only in being unbroken. Sometimes, strength is in bending without breaking." Chapter 6: A New Beginning. Days passed. The cracked pot was now the only pot Harun carried to the river. But instead of shame weighing it down, pride filled its heart. Every drop of water it spilled still landed on flowers that had grown tall enough to greet travelers. Soon villagers began to ask, "Harun, why is your path so beautiful? Your flowers bloom brighter than any we've seen." Harun smiled and pointed to the cracked pot. "This little pot," he said, "gave them life." Children came to touch the flowers. Women gathered petals for decoration, and travelers rested in the shade of blossoming vines. The cracked pot's path became famous throughout the valley, and so the cracked pot, once convinced of its worthlessness, became the valley's greatest source of beauty. Chapter 7: The Lesson of the Broken Pot. Years passed. Harun grew older and weaker. One peaceful morning, he sat the cracked pot beside him and said, "My friend, when I am gone, others will carry you. Some might see your crack and think you are broken, but you must always remember." He touched the pot lovingly. "Your flaw is your strength. Your crack has watered more life than any perfect pot ever could." The cracked pot glowed with warmth. "I will remember," it whispered. And it did. Every day afterward, as water dripped down its side, it no longer felt like losing something. It felt like giving. Asterisco moral. Blossom your flaws can be your strengths. Blossom what you see as weaknesses may hide the power to create beauty. Blossom every person has value, sometimes in ways they never expect. Asterisk asterisk. If you want, I can also create. Thank you guys for watching my video. Please subscribe for more updates. Take care of yourself. Bye bye.